Government orders, government bills, commons, resuming debate at second reading on Bill C-11, Copyright Modernization Act.
Resuming debate, reprise du débat. L'honorable député de Jean Lebert.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and thank you to my honourable member from Longgate for sharing this time with me. I'm here to speak on Bill C-11. C-11 is a complex and, quite honestly, a dumbfounding piece of legislation. Its intent is set to strike to want to strike a balance between the consumer interests and the stakeholders. And, Mr. Speaker, the need this bill is meant to address is getting lost in the haste to get something done by some arbitrary date. This legislative project has to be a document that will not only answer the immediate concerns of stakeholders, but also the concerns of the future. This haste is causing this government to miss a golden opportunity to support Canada's creators, and in fact, they're abdicating their responsibility to them. In this era of fluid and ever-evolving digital and growing integration of communications and entertainment, it is even more important that this document strike that balance between the needs of the Canadian consumer and their ability to access and enjoy their content and the undeniable rights of the creators of that content. It is imperative that a sound legal framework be established to protect the rights of creators and other stakeholders. The creator's work is what inspires, comforts, educates, and sometimes expresses things to us that, and for us that we cannot find expression in ourselves. But in addition, the work of our creators is at the heart of a massive economic engine that drives $85 billion into the Canadian economy and 1.1 million jobs. Yet the creator, her work, is still grossly undervalued. The nature of copyright, quite honestly, is expressed better in our sister language, French. Droit d'auteur, author's rights. The right of the author, the creator, to choose how their work is used. But sadly, this is conspicuously absent from this document, or at least is addressed minimally. I have spoken on and discussed this issue at length. And now I'm meeting with individuals both in my constituency office as well as here in Ottawa, and I'm hearing those same concerns expressed virtually from every organization I meet. And although they all agree that a new copyright legislation is needed, they're all asking, why is this taking money out of my pocket? Why does this address the needs of everyone except me, the creator? Indeed, Mr. Speaker, we have entered new territory. And like anything new, there is some adaptation that is needed. So, what do we have? For consumers and their advocates, we have a few cursory exemptions from prosecution or civil action, and in exchange, they are offered a rather dizzy and confusing series of vague obligations, one of which includes shredding their class notes. For the artists and cultural community, we have lip service to the principle of equitable compensation for their creative work, and an inconsistent and frankly scary approach to that protection and that compensation. This bill in its present form is an unequivocal failure. As written, Bill C-11 fails outright to satisfy the two most important benchmarks upon which we as parliamentarians can evaluate it. It fails to establish clear, universal, understood rules for consumers, and it fails equally to ensure equitable, enforceable compensation rules for those who dedicate their lives to the creative enterprise. Many of my colleagues have remarked on the many practical problems of this law, some of which we in the official opposition are committed to remedying through good faith dialogue at the committee stage. And it's my hope that my colleagues across the way will work with us on this approach in the spirit of openness and purpose. Mr. Speaker, I came to Parliament after a long career in the arts to be a voice for those artists, to be a voice for the constituents in my writing who are artists. And so for me personally, Mr. Speaker, this law's greatest weakness is its complete failure to extend or even acknowledge the vital and current compensation framework upon which so many artists, writers, musicians, and creators depend on for their livelihood. During the 2008 federal election, Mr. Speaker, the Prime Minister made his thoughts about artists clear. We took exception to that, and most particular in Quebec, my home province. However, this bill does little to show any change of heart regarding those thoughts. The images provoked by those words were misleading and undermined a community that contributes far more than it receives in this country. In reality, Mr. Speaker, the typical Canadian artist today continues to focus on their work, the work that they're creating, more so than where their next meal will come from. The typical artist in this country has a median income of under $13,000. Yet, this government seems fit to take $30 million a year out of their pockets. We have to compensate. And this bill fails to do that. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Questions and comments? Questions et commentaires. L'honorable député de Beauport-le-Milieu.